right, friends, we're doing it. We're going to do a vanilla hyped perfumes. So let's look at what I've got over in this corner, shall we? Okay, well, let's start with this one because I have spoken about this before. This is Michalef Ylang in gold. This is a perfume that I got a sample of specifically to compare to a perfume I already have. I also recently got a generic Perfumes oil to try of this. So let's have a sniff. Yeah, I mean, this to me smells like a not quite as sweet version of Cashmere from Chopard. So I have a little bottle of Cashmere. I love that bottle, and it cost me like £12 for a 30ml. So Ylang in gold is, to me and to my nose, extremely similar to Cashmere, but I don't necessarily like it as much because, again, I'm very sensitive to aroma chemicals, and this one gives me a little bit of a vibe of maybe having ambroxan in it, because there's something in here that is really kind of tickling my nostrils and hurting my head, and I do tend to get that with ambroxan. But I know this one starts off being, I'm not sure if there's fruits listed for this, but it starts smelling a little bit fruity, almost in a kind of peachy way maybe. Something a bit fruity, something a bit juicy, with a very plasticky ylang. And I'm not being rude about that. I like a plasticky ylang. They're the ones that smell a bit banana-y. So it's got a little bit of this banana-y feel, a little bit of that plasticky, dull, heady ylang smell that you get in things like Avon Far Away. You get it in Cashmere. I'm trying to think of some other examples, but nothing's popping to my head right now. And then you get a bit of vanilla that starts to come through, and then it gets more vanillic as it dries down. But I have to say, I do think Cashmere is far more vanillic than Ylang in gold. I think that one, it has a powderiness that this one doesn't seem to have. I think this one's a bit crisper, and Cashmere is a bit more powdery. But I think, personally, I prefer Cashmere. So this is one, I will keep hold of this sample because I also want to compare it to the generic perfume. But I feel like the generic perfume is a little bit less sharp than this, maybe a bit sweeter. Maybe it just smells a bit more like the dry down, but because it's an oil, it maybe doesn't have like ambroxan in it, if this one does. So yeah, this one's got a real sharp acidity thing going on in the top, which you don't get with Cashmere. So I would say, like, this is pretty, I understand why people like it, but I think that if you are like me, not wanting to spend loads of money, then I do think that Cashmere is a really good perfume. Yeah, you have to be in the right mood to wear it because it has this kind of vintage powdery smell. It's quite a lot of amber in it, but it's so similar to this. It's so similar. I just think it's actually a bit nicer. Yeah. Okay, I'm putting that one to one side because I need that to compare with my generic. So how are we getting on? Let's do, what is this? Gan Aqua Allegoria Bosca Vanilla. So this one, I've seen people talking about this and it just looked quite interesting, so I wanted to know what it smelled like. And it is interesting. I have to say, I don't find this one particularly easy when I've tried to wear it. I'm trying to think what it is. I think probably for me it's the salt. I think this one, it is interesting though. It is vanilla in the lightest way. It's like, because my favourite vanilla is Eau Duel from Diptyque. That's a green vanilla. This has a kind of green vanilla quality to it as well. And it's got a salty sea note in it. And it's got, I don't know if maybe it's driftwood because it has like a seasidey smelling wood, but it also has the thing that's in L de Lolita from Lolita Lempicka, which is this kind of unusual green floral. What's it called? Is it Angelica? Maybe it's Angelica. This one almost smells, because I feel like there's maybe some kind of citrusy, maybe like a bitter orange or something. I might be getting that totally wrong. It's because I'm thinking of El de Lolita. This has something in it that really, well, actually, just generally, it reminds me of a less gourmand and woodier, more sheer version of L de Lolita. You can't buy that anymore, but I got a little sample of a dupe houses version of it, and I really, really like it, and I think I prefer it to this one. So what I would want to do is, rather than buying a bottle of this one, I would rather try to get like a dupe houses version of L de Lolita, because I like that it's a bit more sweet and creamy in the dry down, but it definitely has crossovers with this. So I think if you like L de Lolita and you like the idea of something a bit more woody and lighter, then you might really like Bosca Vanilla, because this is a good one. I mean, I will keep probably this this sample because it's giving me that kind of vibe, but this is a nice one. It's an interesting perfume that's probably really good for summer. So what else have we got? Maison Francis Kurkdjian Gentle Fluidity Gold. People talk about this all the time. I don't get on very well with MFK. I find MFK to be not his old perfumes, like his really old 90s perfumes I think are amazing. I've got some of them. One of my favourite perfumes in the world is his Elizabeth Arden Green Tea. I know he's a great perfumer, but his modern stuff is like aroma chemical nightmares for me. And this one, all I can smell here is a bit of sweetness and tar. It smells like burning rubber and burning wood, and that's all I can smell. So I cannot comment on whether this is good or not, because I can't smell what it's supposed to smell like. I've heard people call this vanilla. I cannot smell any vanilla in this perfume. It smells slightly sweet, slightly tangy, almost tangy in a kind of white wine or something way, but I can't smell the vanilla. And that's not really a surprise, because whenever I've sniffed any of the perfumes from Maison Francis Kurkdjian in store, they never smell how people describe them as smelling to me, because again, it's just aroma chemicals, so many aroma chemicals. I just have no idea what this is supposed to be. So yeah, this is a disaster for me. I never sprayed this on my skin because the thought of that makes me feel absolutely sick. I sprayed it on paper, and I had to put that paper in a plastic bag and then put it inside my bin so my room wouldn't smell of this, because oh my God. And now, you know, I smell people smelling like this. I smell people who smell like tar now every day. This aroma chemical is everywhere. It is ruining perfumery. So that is absolutely not staying with me. I cannot tell you how much I hate that perfume. So yeah, sorry to everyone who likes it. I know loads of people like it, but if I was standing near you on train, I would move to the other end, because that tar smell is a scent that I just cannot abide. And I know that those of us who smell that are quite horrified by it turning up in all these perfumes, but that's modern perfumery for you. Let's save the big one till last. What have we got? Maison Mataha Escapade Gourmand. So this one just I wanted to smell because people were talking about it. I wondered if it was fun. This smells like toffee caramel to me. It's incredibly sweet, but it's mainly caramel. I'm not really getting anything else. Yeah, it smells like a creamy caramel. So this one, again, I've kind of smelt perfumes that smell a bit like this, but it's a very kind of stripped back. I don't really get anything else from this. Like, I'm going to be really interested to look at these notes and see if there even is anything other than caramel in this perfume. This to me is like very, very sweet, incredibly sickly. I don't know if I could wear this, but I don't dislike it. I think it's yummy, but I just don't know if I could ever actually wear this, because it is a level of sweetness that when it's also caramelly, I don't know if it will bother me. But in cold weather, I'm going to test it out. So I'm going to keep hold of this one, because yeah, this is another one that I'm pretty sure is very expensive. I'm surprised at how pricey it is. But yeah, I mean, I just get caramel from it. That's all I can really smell. I don't smell flowers. I don't smell fruit. I don't smell woods. Just a slightly milky caramel is all I can smell from this. And like quite a nice tangy toffee caramel, not like a burnt caramel. So it hasn't got that kind of, what's that one that I can't stand? It's got the burnt, everything smells burnt and plasticky. pink sugar. It's not got like the burnt smell that you get in that kind of thing. And quite a few caramel perfumes I smell a bit burnt and weird. But this one, no, this is like a nice creamy lactonic caramel. Yeah, toffee-ish. It's really pretty. I totally understand why people like this. Again, I wouldn't pay that kind of money for it. I feel like you probably could get something that smelled a bit like this for much cheaper. But yeah, I mean, I get it. That one's crazy gourmand. Okay. Chole Atelier des Fleurs Vanilla Plantiflora. So I'd seen some people talking about this one. I thought it was really pretty bottles. I thought it sounded interesting, so I wanted to smell it because this is a green vanilla. And like I said, I really like a green vanilla. I like interesting vanillas. Light vanillas aren't necessarily particularly gourmand. This one does smell like plants. It smells like green leaves when you first spray it. And then you get just a very gentle, I mean, it's barely vanilla. I wonder if this is vanilla orchid. I wonder if it's not actually vanilla. It just has a very gentle, slightly vanillic sweetness, but even though it's called Vanilla Plantiflora, I don't know that there's literal vanilla in this. It doesn't necessarily smell like literal vanilla. It's definitely green. It smells like plants. It smells like leaves and stems. Kind of wet leaves and stems, if that makes sense. And then it's got this kind of sweetness. It is quite interesting, this one, but sadly, when it dries down, it's got that tar smell in it. I don't sense that until later on, but yeah, it's there. This has that aroma chemical in it, but a very small dose compared to the MFK. But yeah, this one's pretty interesting. It's almost like if you were walking around in freshly cut grass, like a mown lawn, but you were wearing a very light vanilla perfume, or maybe like a vanilla orchid perfume, something like that. Yeah, it's quite interesting. It's, again, because of that aroma chemical, it's not one that I'll keep hold of, but I do understand why people like this. Like, if you can't smell that tarry smell, then this is a really interesting, light, kind of summer appropriate perfume that, I mean, would I even call this vanilla now I've smelt it? Probably not. Yeah, it just really, it's kind of reminds me of freshly cut lawns, which is kind of nice, but without being, it's not like super citrusy, it's not like super floral, and it's not sickly sweet. It's like a really subtle, quite interesting scent, this one. So yeah, I'm not going to keep it because of that aroma chemical, but that's the only reason I'm not into it. Okay, and the last one, if you ignore my Kayali's, I've already talked about those. They're just in this box because those are the ones I'm getting rid of. Okay, so everyone's talking about Phulur Vanilla Skin, so I figured I would join in. When I get these particular decants, because this is the body spray, they just automatically came in the 5 ml, so it's a bigger one. This is one of those vanillas that smells a little bit like antiseptic to me. So there are certain types of vanilla perfumes that they just smell like a bit like TCP, and I don't know what that is because I don't get that with all vanilla perfumes at all, but there's some. So this one really is a kind of woody vanilla is how I kind of sense this. Yeah, it actually reminds me a little bit of a really watered down, less creamy version of Sweet Tooth from Sabrina Carpenter. It's got that same general scent profile, but it's lighter, it's not as creamy, and like I said, on me, it turns into antiseptic. So this is not one that I'll be keeping, I'll pass this on. But I think this is one that definitely smells very similar to Lait Concentré from Chopard to me, and it also smells very similar to the old H&M vanilla that you used to get little 20 mils of, or 30 mils maybe, in the cute little kind of round bottles. They're not really round, but they're very curvy, really cute kind of oval bottles. So I had that one and I thought it was really nice because it was a kind of sugary vanilla, But again, it turned into antiseptic on me, so that's another one I had to pass on. And this is giving me that same kind of vibe, but it's, you know, more expensive. But sadly, they don't make that anymore, so this is probably a more affordable option. Yeah, I mean, this is one that I can't really understand too much of the hype because I don't think it's very interesting. But then, you know, sometimes people just want to smell softly like sweet skin. And I guess this is a nice woody vanilla, so that's fair enough. It's not for me. It's not one that I enjoy. I'm really not bothered about this one. But yeah, it's very popular with a lot of people, so, you know, I'm not saying they're wrong. It's just not my kind of vibe. And like I said, goes a bit antiseptic. But yeah, I couldn't smell the perfume because they didn't have that in store. And in fact, they didn't even have the body spray in store, which is how I ended up having to buy this one online. But yeah, it's okay. I don't think it's anything special, personally. I would much rather have Sweet Tooth. I think that's a much nicer perfume. And you can get a bottle of that in the UK for about 25 quid. So yeah, I think that's all of them. So the ones, I'll get rid of this one because that's not going to stay with me. So these are the ones that are going to stay in my collection for now anyway. I'll keep the Escapade Gourmand because that one I will actually try wearing in cold weather. The Bosca Vanilla, just because I think that one's quite interesting and it has a bit of an L de Lolita Lempicka feel to it. If you imagine L de Lolita Lempicka like a Eau Fraiche version or something, I feel you'd get something like that. And then the Yang in Gold I'm keeping because I have the generic oil to compare to it. But yeah, so those are the ones that I'm keeping, and everything else will go to a new home. So alright guys, thanks very much for watching these. I'm sure I'll be back at some point with some more. Just in case you guys have been wondering, the two that I'm getting rid of from the Kayali set are the Maldives in a bottle. That one smells like tar, that has that aroma chemical in it. And Marrakesh in a bottle, just because I'm not the biggest fan of Orange Blossom, and this is okay, but I have a Marks and Spencer's perfume that actually smells quite a bit like this, which is called Citrus Soleil, I think. So yeah, I don't really need this one, so I thought I'd just pass that on. And yeah, sadly, this one, because it has that aroma chemical, it totally ruins what would otherwise be quite an interesting perfume. I also think maybe the rosemary is a bit strong in this one for me. But yeah, I really liked Maui and I really liked Capri, so those two are staying with me, but these are going. So tell me if you've got any of these. Tell me what you think of them, and thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe if you're not already subscribed. Specifically if you're a Fusspot man. Like, if you're as fussy as me, then hopefully you'll like my videos. Just one last time, hope you don't take offence at these videos. These are just my thoughts about perfumes, and we all have totally different tastes, we all have different noses, so what works for one person might not work for another. But yeah, thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you soon guys. Bye.